Hello, legends and super legends. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. We had a storm that blew into our area, and so it's slowed things down. And I finally got a chance to get everything up and running. Welcome to our live session on weekend cycling. I see Cesar already giving a hand clap there. Glad you guys hung around. I hope you can hear me fine. I've got the microphone right here. And let's see. So basically, we're going to be talking about weekend cycling, getting ready for the weekend. It's Friday. So, cyclists get excited on the weekends. It's Psycho Warriors here. So weekend's coming. Like you guys that saw the solo ride that I uploaded. My brother's here, Paul. Welcome, my brother. The solo ride I uploaded, you're not going to be able to do very long rides all the time. I mean, there are times when you have more time and you can. So traditionally, the weekend is when you want to do about 2 to 3 hours or more. So that's what it's about. You don't need to kill yourself or whatever. You just want to kind of, especially this time of year, you want to ease into it and try to build what we call a solid base. Get time in on the saddle. Use this time to work on your position or get a new kit or a new pair of shoes, whatever you're going to be changing as far as equipment. This is the best time to do it because you can use these, what I call low-key base rides that get you fit, causes you to lose weight and get in shape. Use that to test your equipment. Welcome, John Hill. Good to see you here. So that's what these rides are best used for. Make sure your saddle feels right when you're out there running. Rev up your cadence. See if everything feels right. Use those rides to tweak the little things that may be ailing you or bothering you so that when it's time to really push later in January or February, then you don't have to deal with any niggling issues, So the weekend's here. You want to get excited, get your stuff ready tonight. Those of you who are in the UK, it's already pretty late there. It's probably about 11 o'clock or so, like almost 11. I think you guys are 6 hours ahead this time of year anyway. We mess with our time too much. So sometimes it's 7 hours, sometimes it's 6. But you want to make sure you got your kit laid out that you're going to be wearing tomorrow. Of course, make sure that your bike is ready. You don't want to have problems on the road. Fant, welcome from England across the pond. So make sure your bike's ready. Make sure, what I usually do is I air up my tires the night before, because if you're going to have any issues, when you get up early in the morning, you'll know if it goes soft. Because sometimes the tubes have aged or they got a problem, and they will be okay if the PSI is low, but when you really put full pressure in them, then sometimes, you get that sound. Psst, that's the worst sound to hear when you're getting ready for a ride. So I like to air everything up the night before and let it sit. That way, you're not having any problems. And in the morning, you can just tap it and make sure it's okay. But you want to get your stuff ready so you don't forget your helmet. Like you've seen some of the guys, the Team RR guys, forgetting helmets and forgetting stuff. So if you're driving to a ride, you make sure your bag is packed. Don't wait till in the morning because you run out of time before you know it. You want to ease into your morning. Get up, have some cocoa, coffee, whatever, and just have a slow morning. Don't rush. Try not to rush. Give yourself at least an hour or so to ease into your morning, so you're not behind or anything. It's good to see all you all here. So it's been a crazy week here in our area. It was cold earlier in the week, but pretty. Actually it warmed up during the day. We got to like 21, 23 Celsius, it's 70s. And then today it got gray and it's just rain. Now tomorrow is supposed to be sunny. In the morning it's supposed to be foggy early and then sunshine. So that's one of the reasons why we never get used to. That's what people say, 13 Celsius is not that cold. We never get used to it because we're yo-yo, so your blood doesn't get thick, so to speak, down here. Michael M, he says hello from Florida. Thanks for putting these videos together for us. Always look forward to it. You're welcome, Michael. I enjoy it. I love sharing our rides. I think I'm glad that we started doing them because I did not want to just make videos where I'm lecturing just exclusively. So the group rides evolved to where the tips are in there. For those of you, there was a legend that said he didn't realize that there were tips in the rides. So if some of you who may have noticed, I've edited the title of the group rides to put cycling tips in brackets, in parentheses, because I think a lot of people are missing out. There's a lot more in there than I could ever cover in a video. Plus, you learn better by seeing things happen. We all ride. So you see other people doing the same thing you do. It sticks with you better than just attending a lecture, so to speak. You know. So TV, he said he bought the small Bethune mirror. Cannot wait to try it out. Going solo to make adjustments. Yeah, TV, I have fallen in love with the Bethune mirror. I know I posted on the site that the wider view angle of the slightly, I think it's like B&M. It's a German made, the bigger one. It's fine. I had those years. I started and I tried that, but I like the Bethune because it's, like I said, it's like jewelry. It's very, very classy. They're hard to find. It's selling out. I mean, people are buying them, obviously. They were not easy to find. The link that I put on there is for Renee Hurst, and they're sold out right now. You know, I'm sure they're trying to get some more, but they have been sold out in the past because when I found it, they had a link that said, oh, we've got them back in stock. So those mirrors sell like hotcakes. They're beautiful and they work. And really, it's very easy to set. When you go on your ride, just set it to where you have what I call the connection between the road and, let's say, the sky. You know, it's almost like a horizon. What I try to do is I put that line where the road ends and where like the grass begins, where it merges with the sky. I put that in the middle of the mirror. That seems to work. This is very easy. It's easier to set when you're riding, and you just really just rotate it. Once you get it perfect, then when you get home, take the 2 millimeter on the side and tighten it a little bit, but don't torque it too much because it can slip and you might strip that little Allen head. You don't need to torque it too much. You just need to get it to where that thing is not easily moving. You know how you take it apart when you're installing. Once you put it on there and you tighten it, you can still move it, and it moves very, very rigidly. So it holds its position really well. I do like that it's very subtle and it's not easily noticed. I literally had to point to it. We were talking to one guy we were riding with, Paul and I had to point to the mirror. The guy was referring to the mirror, and he was on the side of the mirror and still didn't see it. You know, his name's Dave, and I had to point and say, this is what I'm talking about. So yes, the Bethune is the way to go. If it fits your budget, grab one. I've got one that has the 2 plugs, and then they've got one that has just one side. I've got the one that has the 2 plugs on the orange bike, and I'm gonna get another one like the cork. They have different things you can get. Like they have a leather cork insert in the other one. It's like $3 more than the other one, but they give you 2 plugs, and it's very stylish. I'm getting the one with a cork insert to put on the Colnago. I think it would just work for that retro feel, you know, the cork tapes from back in the day. So yeah, that's great. I love the mirror. I cannot talk enough about it. I wish I had found it or started using it years ago. You know, it just minimizes how much turning around I have to do. And as you guys saw in the video, the solo ride, I use the mirror to make decisions on when to take a left turn, use the left lane, you know, and I'm finding that it's quicker because in the past, when you turn around, the car behind you is closer now. By the time it takes to turn around, it's already closer. You can't make a left turn. With the mirror, I don't have to turn around. I can gauge the distance and make my decisions. And so it's really been just nice having it. So I will not ride without one. So yeah, so great that you were able to get one. I found one. I had to go to a place online. Let's see here, because Renee Hurst is out of them, and I think the company they already shipped it. I got them, and then it's within hours, and it's somewhere on your side of the pond. It's in the UK. Let's see here. I got the name. Some of you may recognize Velo Duo. Velo Duo. So it was actually in euros, you know. So yeah, they're on your side of the pond, but they happen to have some, you know, but they sell out quickly. They're very good quality mirrors. Let's see here. Fanta, have you ever trained a winter on a single speed or fixed gear? Yes, I have. When I used to compete, I used a 16-tooth cog, and it was a track bike. We have a track. We have a velodrome here called the Alkek Velodrome in West Houston, in the Katy area. I used to go there, and so I had a track bike. And in the winter, I did not use my track bike on the road, but I had a regular road bike with just a fixed gear wheel, and I think that's what you're talking about. It's fine. I mean, it was a different kind of training, but I just found that I didn't necessarily think that it taught me, because the rumor or the belief, which probably still is out there for some people, the belief was that it taught you how to spin smoothly, and it's like an old school thing, or, old idea training. So I've done it before. You definitely get very tired because you can't coast, you can't cheat. So when you do a 1 hour ride on a fixed gear bike, it might be closer to like a 2 hour ride on a bike where you coast. You have to learn how to keep your feet moving when you're doing turns or whatever. But I cheated in that I left my brakes on it, on the road frame, even though I had the fixed gear wheel on the back. Yeah, it was a lot safer that way. But yes, it's a more intense workout. Let's see here. Mark is here. Mark says, good, from the Netherlands. Welcome, Mark. Yeah, TV, that mirror, you will be able to see fine. It's a smaller footprint, of course, but once you set it, you'll be able to see. I've used mine, and it works. It works. I like it. I like the fact that it's just out of the way. And in the drops, I set it to where, that's why I'm talking about lining up the edge of the road where the road ends, and let's say shrubbery begins to where you go to the trees. If you line that up in the middle, even when you're in the drops, you can see fine with the mirror. Let's see here. Yeah, the Guild, Mark says, good to see you. The Gilsbert 2 sells itself. I have a feeling it's been selling out because, like I said earlier, Mark, you may not have been online at the time, just a short while ago. When I found that Renee Hurst carried them, the link on their site had something like a notice that said, hey, we've got the Gilsbert 2 back in stock. So I have a feeling that, and now they're all sold out from Renee Hurst. I have a feeling that they sell out regularly. There are quite a few companies in the UK that carry them. I found one on, I just mentioned that company name. They're called Velo Duo. After I got it, and they said, oh, your next purchase in the next 2 weeks, you get 10% off. I'm like, I'm not buying anything from you in the next 2 weeks. You're going to give me a coupon, give me a coupon. Don't put time limit on it. That's not going to make me buy things. That's Robert Tangler, our local. I just went through your area, Robert. Lots of rain. Everything's wet. Everybody's breakdancing out there. The traffic just slows down. We had heavy rains on the highway, and you really couldn't see very well. And there are a lot of drivers that are not used to driving in rain. We don't get rain here that much. So you have people that slow way down, and then you have people that forget that it's slippery when wet, and they follow it like it's dry. So we got the two extremes. So you've got to drive for all of them. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Mark is saying that those of you who are having trouble or want to try the Gilsbert Food mirror, you can try to order directly from that, especially if you're in the UK, because then the shipping is not that crazy. These guys that I ordered from, I think the shipping, they're using Priority. I think they're using DHL or something. And it was about probably 11 pounds or something. It was like $18, $20, I'm guessing, to ship. It wasn't too bad, but sometimes it gets pretty high when you order stuff from the UK. Shipping's always kind of a deterrent. That's my deciding factor. Who do I order from? Who's got free shipping? That kind of stuff. Yeah, but I like it. It's what we call eye candy, bling bling, without being too bling bling. It's like people have to go out of their way to notice it. The first there was a ride I used it on, I believe, the Spring Branch Road ride, the one where Paul did that fancy reverse thing with the camera. I had it on there in the group ride, and I was looking at the film, and you could see that the mirror is just about the width or the circumference of the bars. It's just perfect. And you see fine with it. You're not losing anything. It's just a little trickier to set up. But once you set it up, and I just found myself periodically glancing like I do my rearview mirror in the car. When I want to check to see to make any moves or whatever, I would just glance. And so you end up just looking forward and just moving your eye down. That's it. So it just takes your riding to that was the first thing I told Paul. I said, peace of mind was the best way I could frame it. Let's see here. So Mark says they do sell out quickly. He went to his LBS who has a large stock and they claimed they were sold out, but Gills Betu did still offer them on their own website. Yeah, they're very good. They're just well made, good quality. John says he just bought a Trek Imunda. Beautiful machine. Congratulations. My first road bike. Is there tips you have? I'm not sure what kind of tips, John. You should have checked with us before you bought it. You bought it? It's yours. What tips do you need? It's a nice bike. I hope you got the size, your size. I don't know what size you are, but that would be the first thing to make sure you got your size. I'm sure you sized it. That's about the first thing. I'm not sure what tips. He says your first road bike. So you've been riding mountain bikes or whatever? Welcome, man. That's good that you got a road bike. That's fun. Good. It's good to break it up. I've done the mountain biking thing in the past, but I just like the road bike better. I had more falls with the mountain bike, but it helped me work on my bike handling. So Mark is giving tips. He said change the tires for some good ones. Yeah, they don't put the best tires on there. They're trying to keep the cost down. It says a hybrid. Okay. That's good. Alberto Suarez from Spain. Welcome. Yeah. The Trek Imunda is a beautiful machine. I mean, that's great. Yeah. Get some good tires on there. Don't go too crazy on the pressure. I mean, I don't think most people need to even go over 100 PSI on regular roads. I personally run 95 on my bikes. Paul, I think Paul runs 95 on both of his tires. So yeah, you don't need to go over 100 PSI on the road, especially for regular roads, unless you're on a track surface or something really buttery smooth, because it would just be an uncomfortable ride when you put too much pressure in there. Psycho says, speaking of sizing bikes, if you get a dedicated racing bike, or should you go down a size? Yeah, you can. You can. The only limitation for that is that, let's say, you've got a 56 or a 54. Yes, that is the good range. You can go. Some people, anywhere within 2 centimeters up or down. Now, why would somebody go up? Somebody like me, if I wanted a bike off the shelf, let's say an F10 or something like that. I've looked at that geometry, and we have a guy named Christian that got a new one. And we got a guy named Fabian that also has one. And I've seen them in person. The top tubes are shorter than what I need in my size. So if I were to buy a 56, the top tube would be probably 58 at the most, if that. And I need like 59, let's say, to run a reasonably sized stem. So I'm not trying to find a 16 centimeter stem or something ridiculous like that. So for me, I would probably size up if I really wanted one of those bikes. I'd probably take a 58, what they call extra large or whatever, so that I could get a longer top tube. But if that's not an issue for like somebody who has, say, shorter arms or shorter torso, but they've got my leg length, then they could do a 54, like you mentioned on there, because the top tube, they don't need it to be that long. They could still run a 13 or 14 stem or something like that. So that would be your reason. So you got to be careful when you go down. Don't go down much more than 2 centimeters. And then your decision will be based on, are you going to be able to fit that bike for your reach? because you don't want to have to do a custom stem, because they don't make that many 16 centimeter stems or something like that. So when you get too short a top tube, then you're kind of stuck. So just be careful with that. I like to just get my actual size, because I ride like my orange bike, the guy made it a 55. And so he made the top tube 59. He made it longer because you can't find that on the shelf. But I can ride a 56. That my Colnago is a 58. And I took that because I knew the top tube would be really long in that size. But my ideal size would have been a 56. But then Colnago 56 had a shorter top tube. I didn't want to have too long a stem. So those are the things you have to be concerned about. So Mark says, better to have a smaller frame than too large a frame you can adjust with the stem length. Yeah, within reason, like I said. It depends on your reach. I have a regular size torso and very long arms. So for me, I need a lot of reach, for the size of the frame. So back in the day when we were given frames, they would just give us off the shelf. We didn't get custom frames. So I'd just take a 58. I always rode a 58. But my ideal frame is a 56. It's not that much of a difference, but yes, if you get a frame that's too big for you, it handles funny. It's a little unwieldy. And if you get a smaller frame that you can fit, then it's stiffer and the response is better when you're riding it, So it's a trade-off, But really, depending on the material you want on your frame, custom frames are very competitive price-wise, unless you're getting something really exotic, like some of the steel frames that they get fancy with the lugs and whatever, they can get pricier. But just standard custom frames, you can get a better fit that way without breaking the bank. Fitness Life, he says, I notice when Paul pedals truck at the bottom, he still have some bend in the knees. Does he ride a small frame? It's not the size of the frame that shows. You're supposed to have a bend in the knee. You never should have your knees locked. Paul frames is a big frame. Paul does not ride a small frame. Depending on which frame you saw, let's say, I think he rides the Cervelo quite frequently. So it's like a 58. It's a big, it's bigger than even mine. But at the bottom of the stroke, your knee should not be locked if the saddle height is set correctly. And when the frame fits you, there should be about a fistful of seat posts showing. Now, some riders that what we're talking about, if you go down in a smaller frame, you have a longer seat pin. And some riders will buy a longer seat post to accommodate that. But you do want to have a bend, because if you don't have a bend at the bottom of the stroke, then you're reaching. That's why you see people rocking. Because for some reason, a lot of riders are set too high, just out of the gate. I don't know why. I guess it looks good, but that can lead to injuries. If saddle's too high, you can injure yourself. You can hurt your knees. And you really can't ride that long or efficiently, because if you think about it, when your saddle is too high, you basically end up doing squats on the bike. Well, not squats, leg presses on the bike. So all you're using are your quadriceps. Well, think about it. They get tired. Then what? Well, your quadriceps are just one of the muscles that you have available to you. Think about it. You've got the gluteus maximus. Those are big muscles back there. Then you got your hamstrings and all of that. So why would you not want to use those as well? So when you're fitted to your bike, that's why the motto here says everything begins with fit. When you fit it to your bike, you use the quadriceps on the downstroke. You give them a break as you start to pull back. You transfer the work to the muscles in the back of your leg. So then you can ride forever. And then when you get home, your entire leg is tired, not just the quadriceps. You know how it is when you're walking up steps after you're tired. If your position's not right, your quads burn. They burn because your whole leg should be tired. If you're fitted to your bike properly, you will enjoy riding. You will have more endurance. Everything feels better, less aches and pains. No saddle sores because you're not moving, you're not rocking trying to reach the bottom. And then when the pace changes real quickly and you set up too high, you can't respond. because you can't leg press at 110 RPM. You know? So yeah. So don't worry about how things look as opposed to how they feel. We have a video here that says fit is what you feel. So if you search on the channel, there's a video we made that we titled "Fit is What You Feel." Don't worry too much about looks. You know, I've had people tell me, "Oh, your seat posts look kind of low on the bike." I'm like, you don't have that much seat post sticking up. Who cares? You know, as long as my bike fits me and it feels right, that's all I care about. You know, because there are different reasons. Like the on the Colnago, my seat post is enough, but it is a high setback because that seat tube on the Colnago is almost 73 degrees. So I have a radical setback, I think 3.5 or 3.2 centimeters, which is pretty, you know, so when you look at it, it just looks dramatically behind. But it allowed me to put my saddle in the proper position fore aft. So no, Paul's fitted to all his bikes. Yeah, he's dialed in. Yeah, Paul can pretty much sleep on that bike with no issues. So Cycle Warrior says a rep at an LBS was telling me I could go down to a 56 from a 58. Didn't think about the reach. Yeah, you can, but yes. So for example, you're doing exactly what I did when I had the orange bike made. Like I just said, I used to ride a 58. That's all I rode. You know, the Pinarello, all those steel frames we used to race on. I would just get a 58 because the top tube was long, and you know their headsets are like 16 or 17, the old steel bikes. And I was able to fit myself with the quill stems and all that. I didn't need to get anything radical like a 14. I'd ride a 12 or something like that, the stem length. Well, once I decided to get a custom bike, the builder said, oh, you can come down to a 56 because that is your ideal size. He just said that off the rack frames, when they make a 56, and those of you who have been shopping for frame like John Hill can probably confirm this. A lot of the 56 frames have a 56 top tube. I don't know why they're doing that. You know, we're not symmetrical, so I don't know what they're basing that on. They give you a 56 and a 56. No, not everybody's like that. What they need to do is to have a 56 and a 56, and then a 56 and maybe a 58 or a 59. So to accommodate, Colnago does that for some of their steel frames in the geometry settings on their site. They'll have a size of a frame that will have 2 lengths of top tubes. They do that on some of their frames. I saw that on the steel frames. They still do that till this day. So there are some builders that are aware of that. And that's why a lot of people gravitate to get a custom bike because like the money's the same pretty much. These bikes off the shelf, they're not cheap, you know. So yeah. So definitely be careful about that, Cycle, because I don't know what stem you're running now. You need to make sure that your reach is accommodated. And if you're buying a frame that has a sloping top tube, that changes how you measure it. You can't measure along the slope. You have to measure in a straight line. So to know your reach beforehand, before you spend that money is critical. All right, EM Junior, can you recommend a good light set front and rear? Yeah, there's a bunch of lights we've done reviews for. I don't really like to recommend. I like for people to see what we have on the channel, and then you can pick whatever you like. The reviews that I do are pretty comprehensive. Let me pull up. So if you go on the channel and you just search for like lights, that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see here. Let's see what pops up. I just did lights. So now we got cycling front and rear, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, rear lights. So I think there was one that I did for Cyclite. I think that's the one. I'm running Cyclite and I'm running Bontrager. But the Cyclite Hot Shot, let me put the link on here for you. But yeah, so this is what you should check out. Watch this video, you'll be able to see it in action, and that's a way to go. Those are specifically made for bikes by a company that just makes lights for bicycles. So you can't go wrong with that. The Cyclite. I like it because I like the 200. They have a 250. I don't like the 250 because you've got to fix it on your seat post. It doesn't have a strap. I like lights that have a strap because you get a set, and if you have multiple bikes, you can move in between bikes. Secondly, you can put them anywhere you want. You don't need a tool. Just wrap it, clip. It can go anywhere on the bike. I like to put my lights on the tubes, not on my seat post, because my legs are big. And I don't want anything rubbing on my shorts, because these shorts we buy, they're not cheap. I want them to last for a long time before they get holes in them for a $30 light. You know? And so I don't put anything on my seat post. All right, let's see here. Paul says, never had problems with my position. I feel great going hard or slow. Yeah, position fine. I think with certain angles when I film Paul, he may look crouched, but you got to realize we're using a camera that has a fisheye. And so when we're riding and he's very close to me, like I'm on his side, you're not getting a really clear side view. That fisheye effect makes it look like sometimes like you're pedaling in water. That's probably what made it look like, but no, his position's dialed in. We maximize every millimeter. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So that's a good light. All the Bontrager. Bontrager has what they call it. Forgot the name for some reason. It's like a pair. To sell them together is a better deal if you get the pair. They have the flare, and what do they call the one in front? Let me pull it up here. The flare is the rear light, the red light. I have them on my bike, on one of the other bikes, and what I like about them is that it has a green light on top of it, and it's shaped like an ice cube. But it has a green light that lets you know how much battery you got left. Our cycle light has a fancier way that when you turn it off, it flickers a certain way to let you know, you need a charge. I kind of like having that green light on the Bontrager body that tells you your battery's okay, and then it'll go, I think, yellow and then blinking red to let you know. And then it has a setting where it will do like a limp mode for 30 minutes or something like that. They're not, I charge them often, but they go like 14 hours or more depending on what you set them on. But all of them are in the same group. The Bontrager, the cycle light, you can't go wrong with them. What I like is they're small but powerful. We leave, sometimes it's still dark in the morning. I like to leave early so I can come back early and get a lot of hours in, especially since we're talking weekend. So when we're leaving, it's dark. I can take that little light and turn it on. It's like the headlight of a car. And it will last, till, lights up or whatever. And then I switch to the blinking mode. They've got a lot of different modes, all of them. So cycle light, Bontrager, let's see here. What do they call it? Bontrager flare. I want to get the flare RT. Here we go. The RT is the new Bontrager that came out. It's the newest model. So they have the Ion, Bontrager Ion 200 is the front light. And then they have the flare RT. They sell them in a set together. And that's something to look at too. I did not do a review on that one. I mean, they work pretty close to like cycle light, But those are the quality of lights, and they're not too bad as far as the expense, But like your safety is priceless. So you get a good light that will last, and they're good in the rain. They don't have any problems with water getting in there. You just got to make sure you cover the port. And the Bontrager port is underneath anyway, so if it does rain, it's not exposed to the rain. But they have a little flap that you push in once you're done charging. And I haven't had any problems with cycle light or Bontrager at all. And we have some other ones like made by Surfers. I mean, there are a lot of lights. If you go on the channel and just search for lights over the years, I've done a lot of different reviews for lights, and I still have those lights. You can't have enough lights. You never know when you might need one, So let's see here. Michael's asking, ever use Prologo saddles? No, sir, I haven't, but I'm very familiar with, they have some technology. They call it, I think, CPC or something on there. And I have saddles that I'm married to. So I'm not looking anymore at this point. I love my SMP Dynamic. I'm very familiar with the features of the different you know, the surface, they have these little CPC things that give you more grip or whatever. I learned that recently as I was investigating the Prologo gloves, which I will do a review on shortly. What piqued my interest, there's a former racer called Chris Horner. He has a channel called Chris's Corner. And my brother told me about a video he had watched on Chris's channel about Chris using Noxzema to alleviate getting saddle sores or whatever. I grew up in a family, you know, my mother used Noxzema to take off her makeup, that kind of, it's a cleanser. And so when Paul told me about it, it piqued my interest. So I went and I searched on YouTube and I found the video that Chris Horner was doing. And what he was doing, he was talking about his favorite winter, you know, arm warmers, leg warmers and stuff like that. So I watched the video and I saw him display the Prologo gloves, which are very form-fitting. I like gloves that when you wear them, your fingers look like fingers. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like you're wearing mittens or something like that. So the Prologo, they're like that. But then what piqued my interest was he pulled out from the wrist an additional cover that they insert in this little sleeve here that you can take out and cover your hand with it if it gets colder or if it starts to rain. I was like, okay. So then I started to read up about it or whatever. And that's why I decided I will do a review of them to kind of expose it to you guys, because it's a neat idea, meaning, and what he said that really got me interested, what he said, here I have this glove from ASOS. He pronounces ASOS, I say ASOS, tomato, okay? You know, you guys know ASOS, top quality company. He had the gloves from ASOS and he said, they're so warm that you have to wear them when they're like 25 degrees Fahrenheit or less. And he used to do that when he was racing. He said he's not racing anymore. When it's very cold like that, he doesn't want to be out there that much because they don't have a reason to be out there, which makes sense. But he said that he gravitated to the Prologo more because it covered a wider range of temperatures. It didn't get hot as the temperature went up as easily as the ASOS glove. So the ASOS glove was really made for just very cold temperatures. But then what he said was, I have used this glove more, even though I have this other one. And so this is the one that makes more sense to get. And that's the way you have to look at your stuff, because if you've got cycling gear that's just sitting there and you never use it, then you didn't spend the money wisely, let's say, on the best stuff. I like to get stuff that's going to get a lot of wear, you know? And so that caught my eye. And then he went ahead and pulled the thing. It became like a crab's claw. When you pull it out, it's like a soft fabric, but it's waterproof or water resistant, I think. I'd have to get my hands on it to test it. But basically, it ends up covering your finger and splitting them like this. But it's a shield that would block the wind on a colder day. So the gloves are already nice and warm, but then if it gets colder and you're out there, you can add. That's cool. So you don't have to worry about carrying a glove that's too heavy, or like if it's early in the morning and it's really cold, you pull that out, and then later in the day you stuff it back in. I was like, okay, I'll check it out and do a review. So I'll do a review for you all. So Prologo makes really good stuff. I think it's an Italian company, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Italian. They make a lot of good saddles, and they got this CPC stuff. They look like little suction cups, like you'd have on the tentacles of a squid or something. That's tiny. And that's what gives the grip for the gloves that he was talking about. So you have excellent grip, excellent tactile feel, and it's touchscreen friendly. So they have different models. So you got to look for the one that says Prologo CPC. They're hard to find because everybody's buying them. You know, it's like everywhere I went, I couldn't find them. And he put the link under the video, and it was like, you click the link, and Prologo themselves are sold out of certain sizes, but they have other sizes. So the Prologo CPC is called. Let's see here. But that's a glove I'm going to introduce to the channel. You know, it's already cold all over this part of the world anyway. It will be something good because I like gloves that I can pick up little things with easily, or, you know, adjust my glasses and be able to feel the frame. You know what I mean? You wear some gloves, you can't feel your fingers. And it don't have to be cheap. Some of the expensive gloves are just too bulky. I don't like that. I don't like to lose that dexterity. So that will be up and coming on the channel. Let's see here. Which are the consequences of a wrong setup of the cleats? Alberto Suarez. There are many, Alberto. You don't want to play with your cleats because it can hurt your knee. The main thing is the knee. You don't have any spares, so the knee is critical. So if your cleats are not set correctly, you can have knee problems. There are a lot of great riders. Some of the great riders I've had, like Bernard Hinault, back in the day of Le Mans, had to have surgery. I think he ended up having to quit one of the tours to have surgery. He had all kinds of knee problems. And the other riders have had problems. So riders don't play with their setup. Once they get things dialed in, some riders would even sleep with the bike in their rooms. They didn't want nobody messing with it. Because when you're putting out that much force for so many cycles, we pedal thousands of RPMs, and it can add up. It doesn't have to happen instantly, but it can happen over time. So you want to make sure that you don't ignore any little twinge that your body is telling you about, because it will add up. You might be able to tolerate it for a while, but you can end up, So the main thing is your knee, and then the placement can affect whether your toes have circulation. The placement of the cleats, if they're not far back enough, your toes can go to sleep because they need to be on the ball of your foot, on the widest part of your foot. So it's pretty important. It's pretty important. The 3 contact points: feet, saddle, and where your hands grab the bars. Very important, because if you have numb hands, they don't necessarily have to be caused by the bars. They can come from the fact that your weight is not evenly distributed on the saddle and your cleats, and then you're cheating by putting weight on your hands to alleviate the discomfort in your feet or somewhere else. That's why everybody always says something's wrong with your feet, because it's not always easy to just say this is what's causing it. So a lot of riders spend years trying to figure that out. So the riders that compete, like I was fortunate enough to compete and I got a coach or whatever, but I still was not happy with the fit kit that they had done and whatever. And that's how I got into bike fit. But riders are always messing with. If you watch the old films, Eddie Merckx always used to carry a little Allen key. He was always messing with his saddle. And I learned later that he had a crash on a track. They were doing some, I think, 6-day races or something. And they did not align his hip, because back in the day, the technology, they did not align his hip properly. And so after that crash, he had a lot of discomfort. So he was always adjusting his seat to alleviate that. And it was good to see that he got into building bikes when he retired, because those are the kind of riders that will know how to fit other people, because he was very finicky. There was a race called, I think, Water Carriers and Stars. Forgive me if I got the title reversed. It's on YouTube, one of the old films. And he actually borrowed an Allen key from one of the other team cars because there was a protest on the road just during the race to adjust his saddle just that little more. And then I watched him ask his mechanic to line up his bars and pull the stem up a little bit. And he had the guy use a tape measure, the quill stem, to measure the height of the stem. He was very, very particular. Most of the top riders are. They're very particular. People used to refer to Lance as Mr. Millimeter. You have to be, because once your position is close to optimal, you feel everything that's off. You can tell. Doesn't take much. All right, so let's see here. TV says he's running a Burke Dila saddle. He loves it. Cycle Warrior, thoughts about Chris's suggestion to use Noxzema for the pads? Oh, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I think that's great. But here's the thing. For me, I've talked about it. I don't use chamois cream a lot, but when I do use it for wet rides, or because Chris is right, your skin might get dry. When it's wet, you know how your skin gets clammy? It's kind of like you get extra folds in the skin. It draws up whatever. Having that lubrication, you don't want dryness, because that's what can cause chafing, even if your position is perfect. But I don't put anything on my pads like Chris was saying, and that's fine. That's the way he does it. I put it on my body. I prefer, it's almost like you're putting ointment on your body and then you put on your shorts. I don't like the feel of the cold cream on the shorts when I pull it up. So I like to put it on me and then put on the shorts. But I use that if it's very cold or it's going to be wet. And, you know, Paul and I ride whether it's rain or shine. So, yeah, rainy rides, yeah, you put that on. It makes a difference. But everything really, Noxzema is not going to save you from a bad fit. Now, let's get real. Chris is talking about them riding thousands of miles in a tour, you know, the Volta, the Tour de France, all of that. And he even talked about one of his teammates or friends that had a bad saddle sore or whatever, because it can happen. Even those guys that play with their positions sometimes, and they're riding so much that, you know, you can't mess around. There's little room for error. But it's a good idea. If you can tolerate it, yes, because you need the lubrication will eliminate any kind of chafing you're having. So if you're having that kind of problem, yeah, you can use Noxzema. It's cheap, it's readily available, and it works. Biggest thing I liked about what he said was that it's a cleanser. I grew up using Noxzema, you know, and so it's everywhere. So yeah, it's a cleanser, and you can get it at Walmart anywhere. In fact, my wife picked up one of them for me. You know, I have Noxzema here, so yes, but I don't put it on the short. I put it on me, you know. And you can use that if you get anything in your skin that you want to clean off or whatever. It's a good cleanser. Good cleanser. Yeah, it's good to have. Let's see here. Let's see, Psycho. I have to give the members preference, guys. So if I can't get to you, you know, I'll do my best. Let's see here. Brian Baldino, use 2 lights on the front, 1 focus on the other, scatter beam works the best. TV mic. I just put 1 light on the left. Yeah, I've seen, you know, if you have 2, you want to use that, that's probably fine too. But I only use the lights, especially when it's cloudy. I put it on the left because in this country we ride on the right side of the road, so our opposing traffic is on our left. So the guys in the UK probably have their mirrors on the right and so forth because they're on this side, on the left side. So yeah, whatever makes you comfortable. I have found that the lights that we're using now are very effective. I've seen it on film. My brother Paul talks about it. Like sometimes he'll be up ahead and he'll see me coming with my light. And then when I get to him, he'll say, man, all I saw was your light. So yeah, and I've had drivers pull up at the light and ask me, do all bikes come with that now? And I said, no, I just put a light on the bike. And you know, because it gets noticed, especially that crazy pattern, it gets their attention. That's what you want, you know. So I run a real light all the time. Sunny, doesn't matter. I run it. The sunnier it is, the more intense setting I pick. Like with the Cycle light, I pick that lightning mode on the rear that's jumping all over the place. But on a sunny day, I don't run anything in the front. I mean, I'm seeing what's coming. So, you know, yeah. But the rear, yeah, because research has shown that a lot of times they mess up. They hit us from the rear because they're not paying attention. So that light wakes them up because it's flashing all over the place. So, yeah. All right. My concern would be Noxzema breaking down the chamois. Yeah, TV. I don't know about that TV. That, you know, for me, I just put it on my skin. But Chris Horner has been racing for more than 20 years, and he said he used it a lot. But take it with a grain of salt. Meaning, I'm not saying he didn't use it. This guy was given kit all the time, so he probably didn't keep the kit long enough to run into those concerns that TV just put on there. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I think putting it on your skin, you'll probably be okay. Because the way he did on the video, yeah, he smothered it on there or whatever. You know, it may not hurt it. You know, I think it'll be okay. But yeah, but it does work. So yeah, instead of buying chamois cream, the Noxzema will probably work fine. You know, and as long as after your ride, you wash your shorts and not sitting in there, I think it'll probably be okay. Not like you're leaving them in there. So yeah, I wash my stuff frequently because I don't like them sitting and smelling. You know, where I store my cycling clothes in the clothes bin, like a hamper built into the shelf. We have the camper building where you just pull like the little dumbwaiter and you drop the clothes in. Well, what it falls into has a netting, so at least it gets to breathe. But I pretty much watch every day or so because I don't want it sitting there. It develops a smell, you know, and it's not, I mean, the machine has like what they call a micro level that you can use for real small loads where you're not using a lot of water. So yeah, so several times a week I'm washing gear because they hang. You know, I have a hanging thing. I made a video about laundry a long time ago, how you take care of your stuff. I think it goes a long way to letting your stuff last if you keep it frequently clean. Plus, then when it's time to go out and ride, you might have your favorite short. It's already clean instead of it being in the hamper, you know. So yeah, I turn them around at least three times a week. I'm watching because I ride often, even if it's just 30 minutes. I get on the bike, just get out, you know, clear my thoughts. You know, it's just good. It's good to do that. All right, let's see here. Sigma chat, dude, I'll listen to you until you Trump bash again, then I'm out of here. Trump bash. I speak the truth. What do you mean Trump bash? Nobody bashes Trump on this channel. The only thing I mentioned about Trump was some genius talking about we wore the U.S. flag jersey and said that we're Trumping. Donald Trump does not represent the United States of America. This country's been around for 200 and something years. How old is he? You know, so I hate when people do that. What equates him with the U.S. flag? What is he doing that's American? I mean, come on. You know, there are a lot of people who don't think very well and they can get talked into jumping off a cliff. So if you're one of those, more power to you. Let's move on back to cycling. Paul said his bike's are next to his bed. Speedbird, how about daytime lights on a bike, safety, yellow jacket, and helmet? I guess you could do a lot of stuff. I think daytime's fine. Daytime lights are fine. Some people run them. I see people all the time with lights flashing front and back. That's fine. If it's sunny, I don't run a light on the front. I save my lights because if I'm going on a very long ride, I'll save it just in case I get caught at dusk. Then I'll turn on the light in the front. The rear, I run all the time. You know, I don't worry too much about the front, but it is effective, especially on cloudy days. I'll turn them on. I'll have the one on the front on. And I have seen people pull out of driveways and they spot you. They see you easier. This is the same thing. Like today, it was dark as night at, say, 4 p.m., 1600 hours. Dark because of the rain. Cloudy, misty. I mean, it might as well have been night. You won't believe how many people on the roadways or the freeways, no lights. And these are licensed drivers. Why in the world would you drive a car in those conditions and not turn on the light? I mean, think about it. Is it costing you any more? It just blew my mind because you can't see them. You guys know when you drive in heavy rain and mist and fog and whatever, it was dark as night. I mean, I have my fog lights on, xenon going, everything. And you got people in the traffic with no lights on. So we've got people that don't use a high percentage of their brain. Not my problem. You know, I can't fix that. Oh, man. Yeah, Sigma says Stars and Water Carriers, 1974, Giro d'Italia. You're correct. That's the film. I love watching those. On my YouTube feed, they continue to pump more of the old films. I love to watch them because these guys, there was no arrow this, arrow that. They just got on the bike and they rode. They did a time trial where these guys just get in the drops and sit there for 47 minutes, 30-something kilometers. These are the top 2 or 3 guys. Merckx was third in one of the time trials they showed. But this Merckx guy was like, he would ride from the front all the time in that particular race that we're talking about here. And I was like, man, he just felt more comfortable riding at his own rhythm. He hated following people. But you got to realize the kind of training you got to do to ride like that. He wasn't worried about drafting or drifting to the back. His idea was, I'm going to just ride these guys down. I mean, he literally would ride from the front till he was the last one left. He won that Giro, in fact. And I was like, man, that was just his style. They call it la course. There's another thing they call la course en tête, riding from the front. I think it's a French phrase, from the front of the race. That was just his style. Just go to the front. And, people would come to take a pull for a little bit, and he would just go back to the front, just continue to force the pace, whether they're going up a mountain or whatever. And he would just be driving, and people would just be falling off the pace. He had a few teammates that would ride for a while, but it wasn't like today where you got all these other teammates doing all the work, and then then he attacks. No, Misc was driving for, kilometer after kilometer in that particular race that I watched. And I guess that's why they call him the cannibal. The phrase the cannibal means he devoured his opponents. It's just a different mindset. I love watching those films. It's down to the bicycle, 2 sets of wheels, a guy just riding. Nothing fancy, no power meter, nothing. They just put their heads on and just go. I was like, man, yeah. SP really said millimeter man, Lance. Yeah, you have to be picky in any sport. The triathletes do the same thing. I have triathletes that will book a fit just to move something a millimeter or 2. They pay for a fit because they're going to be riding the bike 100 miles, and they want to make sure that that's dialed in, because those guys change their equipment all the time. Get a different sponsor, get a different shoe, and then So yeah, you have to be picky to be the best in anything. You have to be picky. It's not just cycling. The best people are picky. That's why they're the best. They do a lot of work that's unseen, and then people just see the results. And it's, oh yeah, I want to do that too. Well, you got to do the work. I don't care what it is. Whether you're a mathematician, scientist, physician, whatever. To be the best, you gotta do the work. Period. So Lance, Spirit said, Lance said in a podcast that one of the domestiques on the squad always rode a duplicate to his bike, exact measurements. Yeah. 1973. Okay, yeah, 1973 Giro. Yeah, I've got it on my little list. It's one of my liked videos, so I store that. So Rex Maverick said, I think you met Abby. Abby had the best light on your group light. Yeah, that sucker was too heavy. It was overkill. Abby's light was too over the top. There's no reason to have a light like that. We thought a car was coming up. Long before he got near us, the beam was there. And it was under us, lighting the road for us. That was a bit excessive. In fact, it was too heavy. When he got to the high school, first thing he did was take it off and put it in somebody's car. You don't need it. It's just a bit too much. Might as well put floodlights on your bike if you're not worried about it. Somebody made a joke a long time ago, and not related to cycling. They were talking about seat belts in a car. Should we wear seat belts? Should we do whatever? And what the person said was on some documentary. He said that, yes, seat belts make sense. Okay, it's there. This was before it was a law. It's there. Why not wear it? And his thing was, why do you think the racers, NASCAR, all these, F1, all these, so why do you think the racers are wearing seat belts? That was the logic behind. He said, I'm sure we could fill up the cabin of the car with styrofoam. You could wear a helmet, or he said, but that just wouldn't be too practical. So it's the same thing. You can go crazy as you want with lights, but just get what works. You don't need a floodlight on a bicycle for somebody to see you. Think about it. That means pedestrians don't stand a chance. There aren't many people walking around with lights on. People just need to, just do something that's reasonable. You put a light on that. Lights cover a greater distance. So that's why the idea is to get their attention. You don't need to go crazy with it. We ride all the time. Sometimes you'll see a light. You can't even see the cyclist. You just see the circular beam. They're coming from the opposite direction. It's just too much. It's almost like you're driving your car and somebody hits you with high beams. It seems like that. It's just a bit overkill. We got quite a few people that have those kind of lights. It's just too bright. We can't even see the cyclist. Just a beam of light. So no, you have to tamp it down somewhat. Let's see here. It's funny when you're at Reds and you have interactions. Oh, and you're talking about stopping at the signal lights. So Sigma Chat says, Merck's fiddling around with his saddle. 4F debunked the cops fitting method and Le Mans saddle height method. 0.883 by measure from center to the bottom bracket. Not necessarily. Those are starting points. Those things are starting points. They don't necessarily work for everybody. You know, Merckx was adjusting his saddle because at that point he was uncomfortable. And so he was moving it because he wasn't just doing it arbitrarily. You know, if you're experienced enough, you can tell whether you need your saddle to come forward or move backward, depending on where you want to sit in the saddle. You know, so who knows why he was doing that? But he wasn't just doing it arbitrarily. He was very, very particular and meticulous. So he didn't do anything just to do it. He moved it to where he knew where it was before and where he was going. Yeah, he wasn't just doing it by guessing. So no. There is no one position. There is no one thing. That's why this is another reason why the people that buy those fits, what they call a ray tool with their electrodes. What's an electrode gonna tell you? You know, you've got to do it by feel. Does this feel right? If I got an ache in my knee because of where you've set me, I don't care what your electrode says. My knee trumps your electrode. Cycle Warriors asking whether if Lance had a mechanical problem, he could switch because Speed Racer said that somebody. No, it's pretty much having. If you're having a problem on the road, instead of waiting for the team car, if one of the riders is with you, you can get their bike. Like you got a flat or whatever at a critical base of a hill, you can ride that bike. And sometimes these guys will take somebody who's close. They don't have to be perfect, just so they don't lose too much time until they can get their bike to them. It's happening in races. You know, so yeah, it's basically a backup. That's a spare bike on the road, basically. Let's see here. Michael M says, did you end up liking your Isis Cento bib shorts? I remember they weren't your favorite at first, but then you said they were growing on you. Yeah, they've grown on me quite a bit. In fact, I've got another one that I'm trying, the Asos RSR. It is, that has grown on me. It's got individual straps holding the rear of the short. It really pulls it up on you. And I've done a ride in that and I love it. So I like their pads. Their pads are very thin. I favor thin pads. But I also like the pouch at the front of their shorts. These guys they're thinking about everything. The comfort level, you know. So it's different. And I like different. So I like Asos. I like Asos. Definitely. Greetings from British Columbia. You sound both informative and a delight. Well, thank you. I'll let my wife know. Where is she? Pardon the pun, to watch and listen to. Thank you and blessings. Blessings to you too, man. I enjoy this. This is great. I like sharing information so everybody can have fun. Razvan Pupa. Hi, Razvan. How are you doing? Yeah, Asos have grown on me. I mean, it's good quality stuff. If something's good, it sells itself. I mean, really. And that's why you have to have an open mind. You can't just say, I'm just going to do this. Think about it. If you're running a business, because a lot of you guys probably run businesses or you work for somebody. If you're running a business, what's the point of hiring somebody if you're not going to listen to them? What's the point? Because nobody knows everything. So an excellent manager or person, you have to be somebody who will delegate and say, hey, you run with that. That's your area. You run with that instead of saying, oh, no, I have all the answers. Those are the people that fail. There's no way you can have all the answers. And so you have to say, you can't close your mind off to anything. Think about it. I've been riding more than 30-some years, and I just found that, I love having a mirror on my bike. And I'm kicking myself like, why didn't I do this 20 years ago? You know? It just never was an issue per se, I guess. I don't know why. Well, I told you guys why I tried it. Doug on that ride, the Anderson. Because that's the kind of mind, if it works, why not? And I just liked how Doug didn't have to keep looking back like I do. I look down to see the tire. I still do those things, but not as much with the mirror. But it was cool that he was able to keep an eye on everything without changing what he was doing. He was still writing. He's telling me, okay, back off here, do this. I like that. I was like, he was doing so. How is he doing that? So yeah, having an open mind, I think, is the way to go, because then you expose yourself to everything that's out there, and then you can decide what you want to try and what you don't want to try based on an informed decision, instead of just closing yourself off and saying, no, night is night is not dark. I'm not really seeing the rain. You can't do that. You have to have an open mind. Believe your eyes, believe your ears, believe everything you feel. Yeah. Don't let anybody talk you into stuff. Try it for yourself. That's why all the videos I make here, I'll make statements and then I'll show. And that's that's another reason why I like doing the group rides. I'm not just telling you stuff. You see it develop. I'm just explaining why it's being done, as far as what I'm thinking or what the other rider is doing. But you can literally see it. So if you can't believe your own eyes, then, I mean, come on. That's the way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Because you're telling me something's off or something's wrong, and you can't show me, I'm going to be suspicious until I see it. Because once I see it, I'm not going to have faith in a human. We have that stuff in religion where we have faith in God, right? So down here, you got to show me, what they call the state of Missouri, the show me state. Let's see. Rex says, ASOS is what? Dare. What is dare? D-A-R-E. Does he mean expensive? I guess he means expensive. Yeah, I don't use the word expensive. That makes no sense. What's expensive? They make Ferraris. They make Corollas. The people who buy Ferraris, they don't consider them to be expensive. People who buy Corolla don't consider them to be expensive because they got Corollas, they had a Yugo, they got all that. Buy what fits your budget. I hate when people say something is expensive. What does that mean? Say it's expensive for me. Then that makes sense because you're not in the next guy's wallet. So yeah, ASOS is charging what they think the market will bear. Yeah, the prices are up there, but I tell you what, the quality is up there too. So if you really want ASOS, we've talked about it on this channel before. Save up. Make some sacrifices. When I was in high school, back in West Africa, the standard of living is much lower than here in the US. So my allowance, I used to save my allowance every day. I got an allowance for, pocket change, buying lunch if I didn't want to eat the food that was served at school or whatever. What did I do? I ate the food that was served at school. I kept my pocket change, saved it up so I could go to the movies on the weekends and hang out with the hip guys, and then all the girls from our sister school. I was in St. Patrick's High School, which was a Catholic school. So I sacrificed during the week so I would have change to go to the theater on the weekend. Same thing. You want ASOS? Skip the bars. Skip a couple of meals at the restaurant. Cook at home. Cut your own grass. Take that money and get a pair of ASOS. I rest my case. Let's see here. Tactile Z. That's a familiar name. I like that name. It's easy to pronounce. How do you like the laser helmet compared to the Giro Sync that you have? They're both very good helmets, but the laser helmet just disappears. You put it on, it's just super, super light. That's about it. I still wear the Sync, but yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I like having the choice, like the color, the style, they're all different. But yeah, the laser helmet, it is cool. And I like that it's not common here across this side of the river. You know, it's more common, I think, in the UK or maybe in the rest of Europe. Yeah, but here you don't see laser helmets every day. So I like that. And in fact, it was Paul that got me in trouble by finding it and telling me about it. Bungle Camper, he says Garmin rear radar light. Yeah, I've talked about that thing on the single when I did the solo ride. There was a guy that people have him and they love him, and that's fine. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of it. And the guy said that it tells you. What I did before I started to make the comment about it, I mentioned that during the very ride that got me interested in trying the mirror, the gentleman that I watched, Doug has the Garmin radar on his bike. I didn't even know what it was. All I heard was beep, 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 beep. We're on 2854 Keenan Road. Part of 2854 is called Keenan Road. And I just kept hearing the beeps. And we're closer to town. We're heading back home at the end of that long ride. And so I asked, I said, what's all that beeping, And he said, oh, that's my radar. And he said, I try to use whatever will help me be very safe. Because he had the mirror on the left side of his bars, the bar end mirror, the one with the plastic insert. And then he had that. And that was as far as we got with the conversation. So I went and went to DC Rainmaker site and read his full review. And he talked about, he's got a video there as well. So when a car is coming, he talked about the false positives you get. Like where he was near a freeway that was an overpass or elevated freeway. So it was giving him false positives from the cars that were going on the freeway. And he wanted to mention that so that you would be aware if you got this unit to pay attention to that. So you get false positives, you get stuff like depending on where you are. Then he also showed that you get these dots on the side of your head unit. When the cars are coming by, like if it's on your left, it will be on the left. And I guess if it's on your right, he didn't do right and left. But another legend said, yeah, you get right and left. Okay. Now, here is my take. Would you prefer to see dots on your head unit that says cars are coming, which you already hear normally if you don't have the thing, or would you want to see where those cars are that are coming and what they're doing? So I was like, okay. And then I went and looked up the price because from his thing, you can click on the link and it'll take you to Amazon. $159, $164, whatever. It's probably like maybe 110 pounds or something like that. Okay, so if you paid 110 pounds or $160 for something, I don't know if I've got the conversion right, that still required you to turn and see where the car was before you could change lanes or do whatever, then what's the point? I don't need a beep to tell me there's a car there. I hear them. They're noisy. These combustion engines are not quiet, So my thing was on the video was that, okay, the solo ride. And this guy came and he was trying to convince me. Great. You don't need to convince me. I'm not talking anybody out of it. What I'm saying is that if I'm going to spend money on something, it should solve the issue. So what is the issue? I want to know where the car is. Just like when I'm driving my car, I wouldn't want a beep in my car that says there's a car behind me. I want to see it so that I can know when to change lanes or cut over or whatever. Same thing. So if it's not going to show me a picture of where the car is behind me, kind of like a rear view mirror in your car, I'm not spending money on it. I don't want dots. I want to see that car. Well, the mirror does it for me. It doesn't give me false positives. When I look in the mirror, when it's adjusted, I see what's there, where it is. I don't need to confirm by looking behind. I look, I see them. It's not a mirror like a convex that makes it appear like, they're closer than they appear. No, you get an actual image, like a rear view mirror in the car. So that's what I was talking about. And so after a while, after a couple of replies, I just told him, gotcha. I just ended the conversation under the video comment because there was no point in going beyond that, and people have the right to buy whatever they want. But I from a logical standpoint, I felt that if it's not going to show me and I've got to look to find the car before I can change lanes, then why am I spending money on it so it can beep to tell me there's a car there? There are always cars there. We live in a metropolis. There are cars everywhere. So, that was what I was talking about. So, yeah, I don't think that it's complete. And what confirms it further is the gentleman who got me to try the mirror has the Garmin variant and he has a mirror. So if it were complete, why does he have both? So, yeah. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Tactile, I looked at those glasses. They are cool and everything. I mean, I like the idea. If you're going to buy glasses, yeah, they've got a little thing on the side here that you can use to see the car behind you. That's fine. But I wouldn't be using something like that. I got enough glasses as is. But yeah, I like the idea because it looks like it's solid enough and it's in there. I found it on Amazon, and they're not that bad. They're reasonably priced, So if you're in the market for something like that and you want that in there, then it's fine. But yeah, they're decent glasses, but it's a different idea. It's better than the stuff that I showed in that video where you have to attach that flimsy one that comes in front and you're looking for the image. No, this one's actually built into the side of the glasses. So that's better. Scenic Cyclist says, what country did you do a high school? Oh, I did high school in Liberia. The capital is Monrovia. That's where I grew up. I grew up in Monrovia. I went to a school that was run by the Brothers of the Holy Cross, Sacred Heart Cathedral Church, the Catholic school. It's called St. Patrick's High School. It's an Irish-based Catholic school. So we had our celebration I think it was March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. It was like our gala day, because it was modeled after St. Patrick. Yeah. See, Liberia is a country that was founded by former slaves in the U.S. that went back to Africa to start their own country. So it was very Americanized, meaning if you look at the flag of Liberia, it looks just like the U.S. flag with one star, because the Lone Star, the love of liberty brought us here. That was the motto. Even the anthems and everything are kind of mirrored after. So it was very Americanized. So it was more of an American/style school. And we had some specific, like the USAID organization set up schools in there because the diplomat children like to go to the foreign schools, we call them, per se. It was very Americanized. So we studied the world where I grew up. So before I came to the U.S., I knew more about the U.S. than people who were born here. Because we studied the history of the world. We studied all the countries, and we went to school all year. We didn't get 3 months off like they do here. I don't think they keep the kids in school long enough. They get the whole summer off. We ain't get no summer off. You get Christmas, Thanksgiving, a couple of weeks, but you went to school all year. Razban Pupa says, I ride clincher tires and I want to know which tubes I should get. High quality ones or any tube is fine. Well, depends on what you're looking for. That's a loaded question. They have butyl tubes, the black one that everybody's familiar with, and they have latex tubes. Now, within the butyl tubes, they have lightweight butyl tubes, which cost a little more, but they're lighter. They're not heavy or whatever. They call it like Continental makes one called Continental Race tube, something like that. So what it comes down to is, depending on what kind of clincher tires you have and what you're looking for, I like to enjoy the ride, okay? But I also like to have tires that are for like this time of year in the winter when it's wet and the glass on the road and different things that you don't want to have flats. You get the what we call low TPI tires. There's no point in putting high quality tubes in low TPI tires. You're not going to improve the ride that much. And the reason you get low TPI tires is toughness, like the Gatorade. Gator Skin. I call it Gatorade. Gator Skin. Continental Gator Skin, a very tough tire, but they ride decent. All the Ultra Sports, those are your low TPI tires. Just run regular butyl tubes. You can find them on sale anywhere from $4 or $5 to like $6, $7, depending on what time of the year. And you run those. You want to use higher quality tubes and your higher quality tires with your higher quality rims. So you need a set of rims for your everyday training, and then you need a set of rims for your events. So why? Why don't I just have one set? Well, the logic is that if you have one set of wheels for just your events, chances are it will be in good condition when you need to do your events. So you won't have breakdowns when you've already trained to go do an event, because that's kind of a demoralizing thing to do all that work and be stuck on the side of the road with a breakdown. So most riders will have a set of, they call them race wheels per se, and you could call them that. The higher quality wheels, higher quality tires and stuff, because then you use them sparingly. They last longer, but you're not going to have any surprises. Then you use your sturdier wheels and your sturdier tires for your everyday training. And then some riders, there are some tires you can use for racing and training. So it comes down to your budget and what you're trying to do. But no, so just generally put the better quality tubes in better quality tires and wheels. So Earl Hunt says, connect your head unit to his Varia. It will allow multiple connections. See if you like it. That's no reason for me to try that, because I don't need beeps on my head unit. That thing was driving me nuts. That's why I asked him, what's all that beeping? I mean, it was beeping because we get cars passing all the time on that highway. And it was like, beep, 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 beep. It was like, you get two cars. I guess you get two beeps. No. I see where they are. I hear them now with the mirror. I see where they are. So I don't need anything else. I can't use the beep. It does nothing for me now, because now I can see, even before, if I didn't have the mirror, what is the beep going to do for me? It says there's a car there. Well, I already hear the car. I got to look anyway. So why would I pay money for another sound? So, yeah. No, I mean, people who have them, and that's what DC Remaker said. People who have them, they really love them. And that's great. That's great that they love them. I think that's cool. If it works for you, that's great. But for me, I try to minimize all the stuff showing up on my head unit, So, yeah, let's see here. The radar unit visually indicates the distance as well. It visually indicates the distance. That's hard to imagine. So how does it do that on your head unit? Can you see the car? It's showing you that I guess it will give you a distance of 50 yards or whatever. You're still going to have to look. Would you trust that unit to cut in front of a car? I want to see them. It's just like when I'm driving my car, I look in the rearview mirror, I see them. The same thing. Those of you who got a backup mirror on your car, when you put the car in reverse, would you prefer to hear beeps, or would you want to see whether you're going to run over your kid? So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's neither here nor there. I mean, if you got it and it's working for you, more power to you. That's great. I mentioned it because on the same ride where I tried the mirror because he had it, the annoyance of the beeps made me ask him, what is all that? Psycho says, the only thing awkward with training with power but riding by feel as it relates to RPE is difficult but enjoyable too. Well, the thing with Psycho is that if you're riding by feel and you're training with power, what ends up happening is this. You've got to realize that all these gadgets, whether it's power, heart rate, whatever, they happen after you do something. Remember that. All it's telling you is, oh, you're doing 150 watts. Feel says this 150 watts feels easy. You see what I mean? Man, it's feeling easy. I'm riding on 150 watts and it doesn't feel like I'm working. And that's important. That's more important, I think, than the numbers you get back, because if you're riding and normally you do 200 watts and you're not killing yourself and you feel like it's no big deal. And then one day your plan was to go and do, whatever zone your power zone is for 200 watts. I'm going to do this today. If you go out there and you can't hit that zone with the same comfort, then you let feel override that plan that day, because your body is saying, I'm tired. If you know that you can do 200 watts in your sleep, per se, I mean, it's a phrase, and then you're killing yourself just to get to 200 watts, that's the time to reevaluate how your week is gone. Did you get enough rest? Have you been training too hard? It's time to change the plan for that ride and back off and rest. Don't stop riding. Just make it easy that day, because your body's below par. You've probably heard the same thing with heart rate, where people say, I can't get my heart rate up no matter how hard I try. You're tired. You know, your rev meter can't get, you're tired. And then there are some times where you just feel great and your heart rate goes up and it still feels easy as you get into the higher zones. That means that whatever you did that the last week or so, you got enough rest or whatever else is working. And what you want to do is memorialize that, remember it, and try to replicate that for your bigger events. That's what training is about. It doesn't matter if you can't hit the zone. If you're tired and you start to force yourself to do that, you would just drive yourself down and you start leading to overtraining. Then you will get demoralized. Oh, I'm not doing it. You need to understand why you're not getting there. What happened that week? Well, you're doing a lot of shopping or doing a lot of work around the house or whatever. You didn't rest. That's important. As long as you know why. There's a guy, Fabio Aru, this year, because it's been a weird year, 2020, we all know. He was in the Tour de France. They had it later in the year. And he had to quit. And there was an interview I was reading on Cycling News, and he said he didn't know. So he just looked like dejected, because he expected to be flying. And his body just would have nothing to do with it. He couldn't figure out what was wrong, because he had done his training. So his thing was, we don't know. We don't know what's going on. And that's the thing. So you got to go back and figure out what's wrong. And it can be something different. That's why training is never cookie cutter. And so a lot of riders will find what works for them and try not to stray too much from it. That's the key. The same thing with you. So whatever you're doing is, you can plan all you want, but if you go out there and you just can't hit your numbers that day, it's better to take it easy and rest an extra day, because then tomorrow you'll probably be more recovered. Because it's better to come in a little under than to be overtrained. Whenever that's a question, whenever there's a doubt, should I ride, shouldn't I ride, because you got a big event coming, whenever there's a doubt and you're not sure, take an extra rest day. Because you can always ride into, then to come in having gone too far the other way. So remember that. And that's why you cannot ignore feel. Those meters are just telling you what you're doing now. You can't ignore your body. You know how they say if you're exercising and you're feeling dizzy, stop or whatever. That's why feel is important. You got to listen to your body. If you get up in the morning and you got a low resting heart rate and you get up, you're feeling, there are mornings you get up and you just feel tired. That's not the day to go do a hard workout. But there are mornings you get up and you just feel like, yeah, you're raring to go. And and we try to bottle those mornings so they can happen on a Saturday or a Sunday when you're going to hook up with the boys. But it doesn't always work that way. You guys have heard me on the ride say, well, my legs weren't that great today, but I'm still going to just see and ride and do whatever. It's not the day to go off the front or whatever else, because you're never going to be at your best all the time. And so you've got to so feel is very important. I think it's more important than everything else. Because if you're feeling good, then you say, yeah, let me see how much I can drive these watts up today or whatever. And then that's why they tell you when you're doing a threshold test, make sure you do it when you're rested so you can get true results. There's no point in trying to push yourself when you're tired. You're not going to get realistic results. So I ride by feel, and all the other stuff, I'll glance at a power number. I'll glance at a power number when, let's say, I'm going up a climb, like the day when I rode up that climb to catch up to, was it in Hernan? I glanced at the power number to see, man, I got here quickly. That was my reasoning. Well, I got here pretty quickly. What did I do? And by that time, it was coming down. And so then when I got back, I looked at it in the stats, That's what I use it for, to just say, okay, man, okay, that was nice. I was able to hit that and whatever. That's what the riders use them for after the fact, because it doesn't matter whether the power meter tells you you're doing 400 watts or 1,000 watts. What matters is, are you going to be able to now pay the tax from that effort? That's what we call it. So if you did something that was so hard to where you're going to be crawling home, then you got to reevaluate how you dishing out your effort. You know, there's a rider that rides with Mo and them. His name is Al. He's from Scotland. And he made a comment on one ride. I told my brother about it. He said, it doesn't really matter how many miles you're riding, because, you know, some of the guys in our area like to broadcast how many miles they're riding or whatever. And what he said was, what matters is, if you're riding with that one rider and he starts to do 1,000 watts and you can't do 1,000 watts, your 500 miles a week doesn't mean it. Because you're going to be riding alone with your 500, you know. And I knew what he meant. And I talk about it all the time. Is if your goal is to be able to stomp up a hill periodically or whatever, you can do however many miles you want to do. But just make sure that you're doing those specific workouts for your event or your goals. Because when it comes time to drop the hammer, nobody cares that you did 1,000 miles last week. You're going to be riding alone because you did not hit that zone in your 1,000 miles. And those guys are going to pull away from you if your goal was to stay with those guys. That's the point. So it matters. If all you want to do is do cyclo touring and whatever else, and yeah, that's great. You can do that. But if you're going to be riding with people who are going to be forcing the pace of this climb, or, you know, like the guys in the UK got all these steep climbs that they talk about all the time. So you better incorporate your 1,000 miles to go over some of those climbs if you're going to ride with these guys that are going to be doing it and you want to hang with them. That's what counts, you know. So so don't worry about it. You know, if you're tired, take the day off, because it matters. The quality matters. Savage said, "Why don't we see you riding a carbon bike?" I can't afford one, Savage. Maybe I'll start some crowdfunding. You guys can pull some money together. I'll buy an F10. Those bikes are too expensive. Why don't I see Psycho's laughing? Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, because I'm going to get a carbon bike. Might as well get the best stuff they make. The F10 is a sweet bike. Christian has one. I saw it. Beautiful. So, no, it's not in my budget. So I got 3 bikes right now. So, you know, I can only ride one at a time. So it's not a priority. He says, I'm a Pinarello guy. Yeah, well, that's fine. They make beautiful machines. All the bike manufacturers, I think they're so close to where actually there was a Chinese bike manufacturer that for some reason I got Durian Rider keeps popping up in my feed because I watched him years ago. You know, YouTube keeps promoting his stuff. I forgot the name of the. There was a Chinese bicycle manufacturer that also makes wheels, and they're very popular. I think a lot of bikes are made over there, but they seem to have a good following. They have a Facebook page. I'm trying to find them. I don't know if I saved a link to their site or not. Let's see here. I don't think I did. The name eludes me right now. It starts with a W. Let's see here. Let's see here. The name of them. I wonder if there are a lot of companies coming up in China now that are making their own bikes. They're not copying anybody. They're branding them, but they're selling them at a third of what the other guys are. And supposedly the quality, not YOLO. I've got to find it because I think it's significant enough. I think in the next 6 months or so, they're going to be a household name because the quality is there. They make great wheels. Let me see here. Let me go to DorianRider.com. I don't know if it's there. He had the wheel, and he built this bike that supposedly is under the UCI limit, and he kept talking about it. And my thing is that you're not racing under the auspices of the UCI. Who cares? I'm gonna go to his channel here and see if I can find it. I just loaded his channel page, and I'm trying to see if I can find the video where there it is. It's called Win Space. I think you guys should check it out. Win Space. If you type that, let's see if Google. They make great wheels and bikes, and carbon, of course. And a lot of people have used their wheels, and the quality is good. Win Space. They have something called Wind Space Hyper Wheels. And the weight weenies love them because they're very lightweight and they're reliable. But Wind Space is an up-and-coming company that's making great bikes. Let me see if I can find their site. I went and just kind of read up about it. I'm not in the market for bikes or anything, but I try to keep up with everything. It's called windspace.cc. I'm going to put the link here for the wheel that he had in his video. That's the Wind Space. It's spelled without the D, Rex. It's WINSPACE. That's the link to that site and that wheel that Dorian Rider was doing that YouTube fed to me in my feed, because I've been looking at wheels when I bought the wheel for the Conago. And so that's how YouTube, they figured I was into wheels, so they brought that on there. It's a great company because they're based in China, and they have a Brit that handles the communication, because most of their customers are English-speaking customers. So this young kid, he made a video about the company and so forth. So it was good to see that, they're up and coming, they're young, and the wheels are always sold out. People are buying them, like they're like $1,000 for a pair of carbon wheels versus Zips, which are 30-some hundred, whatever. But those of you who are in the market for wheels, check it out. They're really good. Now, Savage Poet is saying one question I've never received. We're going to be wrapping up in a little bit. One question I've never received is that I've never received an answer for, can you ride a Chinese carbon bike in a UCI event? I don't see why not. As long as you follow their rules. If it's not lighter than 6.8, I don't know what their weight limit is. Yeah. A lot of the bikes are made in China anyway. I don't know why people keep saying Chinese. The Chinese been making stuff since I was a kid. All my toys are from China. Pinarello and all this stuff, I bet you they're probably made. I don't know where they're made, but a lot of the carbon company, think about our iPhones made in China. It's engineered in California or whatever, but it's made in China, So it doesn't matter. It's just, I think, like the Asos that make that stuff in Bulgaria and other places. So it doesn't really matter. I think what matters is who's engineering it and the quality control. That's what matters. So let's see here. Needs to be UCI approved, depends on the manufacturer. Yeah, could be, but I don't think it's that hard. The UCI rules, they're trying to make sure the bikes don't get super light. So these guys end up killing themselves. And then safety, quality, and then make sure you don't have an engine in there. They've been checking for that, supposedly, the last few years. Daryl says, not sure, but it looks like I have alloy and carbon wheels. I have carbon wheels on one bike and I have alloy wheels on the other. Yeah, I like the alloy wheels. They're fine. The carbon wheels are nice, but I wouldn't train on them every day because then you need the special brake pads. They don't last that long. We ride a lot. And most of our kilometers are on alloy wheels. it's just lower maintenance. And then we use the fancier stuff for our main events. Even the Shimano wheels I have on the blue bike they have an aluminum braking surface. It's a combination, is that C35 that Shimano made. But yeah, for everyday riding, yeah, aluminum wheels are better. It's just better, especially with the mess in the winter, all the rain and stuff. Yeah, you save your carbon wheels for your nice events. It's kind of like having a Sunday suit. You don't wear it to cut the grass, you know. Let's see here. Savage Poet, Caribbean island here. But yeah, check out Windspace if you guys are in the market for wheels, because the quality's there. People, they make their own hubs and all of that. So I read up about it when I saw Dorian Ryder. I think he had a discount. So if you're gonna buy him, go to his site. He's got a discount code or something for that. But they're hard to get because everybody's buying them out. And, you know, it's good quality stuff. So anyway, let's get ready to ride tomorrow. Let's wrap this up. This is time to go get all the gear together for the ride in the morning. So I want to get on my bike tomorrow. I didn't ride today at all, so which is fine. It's like rest to get my body ready. So we're able to get some clips for you all. I'm glad you guys could come join us tonight. It was cool that I was able to have this session. But great talking to all of you. Get your gear together. Get something to eat. Get something to drink. Chill. This is Brian from Tacoma, Washington. Found your channel about 4 months ago. Catching up shortly. Thank you for all you do. You're welcome, Brian. Tacoma, Washington. It rains a lot up there. The rain, man. Yeah, the rain doesn't stop us down. We don't get that much rain, but when it's time to ride, it's time to ride. I'll put the mud guards on there. So glad you guys could attend. We will be in touch on Tuesday. We'll have a premiere. That's a members-only premiere for all the guys with the fancy signs you see, like Cycle Warrior and them. They're members on the channel. We'll do a members-only for that one. It's one of their perks. So you guys be safe out there this weekend, but get some Ks in, stay healthy, keep the doctors fired. Have a good evening.